Hello, 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 hello. It is Tuesday. It is Tuesday, which means it's the second day of the week, which also means another day, another stream, which also means we have a new topic. Yesterday, what we've done is after I finished my arcane characters, I kind of realized after some feedback and after looking at it myself again, I kind of realized that I want to improve maybe, first of all, I guess overall my realistic character workflow, or maybe even my realistic characters overall, but in specific the eyes. I think the eyes are sort of the main, I guess, problem that I saw, the biggest weakness, let's say, that's what I like to call it. So I wanted to focus probably this week on the eyes a little bit more. Yesterday we looked a little bit deeper into, I guess, what it looks like right now, what I created, and then what I want to get to at some point. Welcome back, Kutu. Hope you had a great day. Hope you enjoyed your Tuesday. Welcome back. So yeah, we compared the one that I did and then the one where I want to get to. We kind of looked at my new eye model that I want to use. Today what we're going to do is we're going to go into Blender actually, and we're going to go through the eye sculpting process. I not only want to just practice how to sculpt the eyes, I also want to make this a more interactive, I guess, stream today. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through my sculpting process. I'm going to make it, I guess, as beginner friendly as I can do. I'll try to make it beginner friendly so that everybody can follow. So we're going to make a basically follow along sculpting session where I explain everything that I do. It shouldn't be too hard, shouldn't be too, I guess, shouldn't be too long. Eyes are fairly simple to sculpt. So yeah, should be a good time, and then we probably have some more time afterwards, which we can use to go a little bit more into detail, look at the anatomy maybe. I have a few small questions that sort of concern that I kind of want to cover for myself, and of course, you know, if you learn something from that too, then that's even better. That's going to be today. So we're going to do a follow along sculpting session. Of course, before we do that, we're going to do the 30-minute quick sketch, and then we're going to go to the next topic, the sculpting of the eyes. So if you want to see one of these topics, either the first one, the 30-minute quick sketch, or the workflow, the full workflow for the I guess follow along sculpting session, then you should find links. I mean, not links, just I guess chapters or timestamps in the description, or also in the timeline. If I've already added them, I haven't added them yet for the one from yesterday. Yeah, I'll see when I do that. Maybe I can do that after the stream. Okay, let's go straight into Blender so we can go straight into a quick sketch. I think everything's ready. Welcome back, Crow. Hope you enjoyed your day. Today's quick sketch, you can see the reference. This nice little Happy New Year hog, as I like to call it. Yeah. I think it looked very cool. I like the colors. Of course, we can't really add the colors into our quick sculpt or quick sketch, whatever. But at least we can kind of, I like not only the colors, of course, but also the sort of design with these like swinging, sort of with this swinging mustache here, this flowing mustache, and then these hairs. Looks really cool. If you want to know who the artist is, I don't know how to pronounce it. I guess the username is pronounceable for me. Hold on, there it is. Goma Lee, let's say. I think they post stuff like this fairly often. I think I actually grabbed one of their other sketches before. I don't remember when it was, but they create some pretty cool stuff here. So if you want to check them out on Twitter, hold on. Goma Lee, GOMA_LEE, or alicebooks.com, I guess. Yep. Let's get back to Blender. The timer's ready. I am ready. Welcome back, Zachary. Hope you enjoyed your Tuesday. Hope you had a great day. Now that the now that Christmas and New Year's over, hopefully you hope you're not too, I don't know, not disappointed, but hope you can still retain the the I guess the spirit that you had beforehand. I'm glad I was able to join live. Welcome, Surya. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you enjoyed your Tuesday too. Welcome, welcome. You come just in time for the quick sketch. So if you want to, I guess, follow along not only with one, but with two, I guess, sculpts, you can do that. We're going to begin right now, so you have to be quick. We're going to sculpt this little piggy right there. And then we're going to go back to, or we're going to go to the eyes. I'm ready. My cursor is ready. My tablet is ready. Timer is ready. I would say we can begin in 3, 2, 1, go. 30 minutes, of course. Let's go. I'm debating, or I'm thinking about starting the stream. I like to have I guess, a constant start when I want to start the stream. Or, you know, I want to have like a constant where you can be sure that I, you know, go live. Right now I kind of get into the, I have the problem that I want to do so much before the stream that I can't really go live every time at the same time, I guess. So I decided maybe I'll give it a few more. I guess I have a few things that I could think about that I could improve. If that's still not enough, then I think about moving the stream start maybe to, what is it, 7 p.m. UTC. Just so you know, I like to have like a, you know, constant stream start. I guess, you know, a schedule that doesn't shift. So maybe I'll do that. But I have a few more things that I could try that could sort of ease the whole thing, make it easier. Because right now I'm sort of I have a few things that I want to do before I want to start the stream, including, you know, dinner and whatnot. That sometimes makes it hard to do everything beforehand, which means I need to push back, for example, the stream start sometimes. And I kind of want to, I guess, minimize that, or, you know, kind of want to make that the exception. So I, you know, just maybe at some point I'll push it back to 8 p.m. and then that, or 7 p.m. and that would be the sort of standard. Maybe. If that's the case, then I'll definitely announce it in the Discord. I should probably also do more of these announcements on the when it's regarding the live streams, I guess. Maybe even on the live channel, because you can do like community posts there too. I guess that would make sense too, but yeah, maybe I'll do that too. Because not everybody, for example, is in Discord, and sort of, you know, if somebody may be interested in the live streams, and they are not in the Discord, they can still know what's up. Okay, ears. I mean, the nose is sort of triangular. Let's sculpt the nose. Kind of wobbly, kind of, you know, janky, sort of more organic with these smaller sort of, I guess, waves in it. You can see here it's not fully like straight lines. It's sort of like wobbly lines, I guess you could say, for the outline of the nose. Make it look more organic, make it look more, I guess, softer. There you go, nice little nose. Okay, we have the teeth, which means we need to push up the lips here. Let's do that. There you go, maybe even in. So there's more room for the teeth, and then we're gonna pull out this part here. Perfect. You know, today I got a very cool project. Well, it's not a new project at work, but it's more a continuation. Before Christmas, we had to finish. I guess the project was to finish sort of. I talked about it before. The online, I guess, banner for websites. For multiple, I guess, websites for the same retailer or whatever you want to say. And the thing was that for all of them, they had to have different resolutions. So I asked the person that would put them in, you know, that would then, I guess, add them or, you know, replace the old ones with the new ones that I then have added or created. I asked them, hey, you know, what resolutions do you need? And then he gave them to me. And, well, I created them, you know, I was done before Christmas. So that nobody else has to, you know, take up my work. And then today, I get the message, hey, you know what? It's not the right resolution. And also, we have some more that we need to add too. And then you're just sitting there like, hey, you know what? Sounds like I can just throw away all my work that I've done and do the whole thing again. But that's what I'm gonna do tomorrow. throw out everything and then do the whole thing again. Good thing is now, well, it's not good because I still need to figure out what the right resolutions are now, because for one of them at least, it's not the right one. For the other ones, I just need to, I guess, create the same ones again, just with double the resolution for 4K screens, I guess. So that's not too hard. But for the other one, I need to figure out what resolution they actually need, because apparently the one that I've been told to use is not the right one. And yeah, we'll see. It's always fun having to do the same work twice. Okay, we have the eyes. Let's add some eyelids. There you go. This is not how we're gonna sculpt eyes in the actual workflow. We're gonna do it a little bit differently. For this one, I'm more lenient with the shape because it's, you know, just a quick sketch, so I don't really care too much about the look. They don't have to look perfect. They just have to look like eyes. There you go. Just out of curiosity, what software are you using for displaying the mouse button presses? It's just an add-on that I've added. I think it's just called Screencast Keys. You mean this one here? Yeah. That's just an auto add-on. I don't think I've actually added it. I think it's either native to Blender or it's an add-on that I've downloaded. I can't remember. I also added a new, or I've downloaded the add-on that Hustler mentioned yesterday for the randomization of the playlist. What it basically does is it looks at your playlist and then just shuffles it. It's basically called playlist shuffle. So it grabs all the songs and actually randomizes them in the list, so you can just play through them. Which, you know, removes the flaw of the randomizer in the native randomizer, I guess, for the VLC player, which is pretty neat. So now we should have fully randomized tracks or playlist. I think he looks kind of too mean right now. We need to change that. Let's add a little forehead here. There you go. Make him smile. Look at him. He's so happy. Okay, let's add some teeth here. We're gonna make the big ones first. Oh, I don't think you call them teeth, right? You call them, like, not horns. Tusks, right? There you go. Pull them out. Zip. Oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Maybe we can bring them closer. They're not supposed to impair his vision, so I'm not going to place them in front of his eyes. Maybe more like that, though. I think that's pretty cool. Maybe even thicker, so we're going to make them a little bit thicker here. Look at that. Perfect. Look at those beautiful tusks. If you haven't been here, or you haven't seen it yet, in the Discord, I've added a new event, and that event is next Tuesday, or this week's Thursday, I mean. Not Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. We're going to do the next personal feedback session, so if you have any pieces you want to get feedback on, make sure to post them until then in the personal feedback channel in the Discord, and then we're going to look at them. I think we have quite a few already. So we'll see how many we have in the end. Okay, let's add the ears now. I don't know, remember. It always seems like so many when I just see them in the chat. But then when it usually kind of evens out, or not evens out, but it's usually always like around 5 to 6. Which I think is a good number. 50 minutes for each. I think that's pretty good. More than that, it gets kind of hard. Because at some point, you know, time runs out so fast that you can't really sort of explain anything. You just have to kind of rush through it, which is not really what I want to do. So probably at some point, when it comes to the feedback session, I would probably have to limit the amount of submissions, and maybe even, I don't know, yeah, probably that. Just to, you know, just so it's still doable. I don't want to do it every week. I like the sort of mix between 1 week there being a feedback session and 1 week there not being any, or there not being one. So I kind of want to keep the 2-week cycle. But you know, there are some ways that I guess you can reduce the amount that you get. Okay. Is there a negative to leaving front faces only on all the time? First of all, welcome. Grinspan Desse. Welcome. Hope you enjoyed your Tuesday. So the only thing that I've noticed so far is that if you, for example, work on a very complex model and you sort of want to see, for example, the eye from a different angle, and then you decide, hey, I want to work on the eye from this angle, sometimes it's kind of hard to add more, I guess, volume. So you would either have to increase the strength, or with the clay stripped brush, for example, you can't really go that high, which leads you with the problem is where you can't really add too much at the same time. The strength lowers. It basically applies a Fresnel effect to your brush strength. So depending on what the angle is that you're sculpting, or that you're looking at the surface that you're sculpting on, that sort of determines the brush strength. So if we sculpt like this, it's just, you know, normal strength. But then if we look at the same part here and then we sculpt in this direction, we can see it takes a little bit longer, especially if you go quite close. So yeah, that's the only really negative that I've discovered so far. I actually wanted to make it a standard, but I haven't done it yet. I want to put that in my, what do you call it? The load settings, I think you call them. for Blender. I actually wanted to add that too, so that they're always on front faces only. I haven't done that yet though. Still need to do that. 16 minutes? Okay. Look at him. Okay. The head looks good. Little longer forehead here. Let's add the neck, and then we can go to the hair. Oh. So, well, I mean, I guess one negative would be that you maybe sometimes want to move both sides. So, for example, if you want to move the ear here from a certain, I guess, view angle. So you say, hey, I want to move the ear from here, and you say, I want to, you know, front faces only. You can't really move the other side, which leads to this problem where you push it through. Push, you know, the one that you see through the one that you don't see, or the one that is in the back. So if you want to move the entire ear, for example, it's better to remove it, because then you can just move it around without having to worry about that. Those are, I guess, more niche cases that don't happen too much, that I would definitely set it as the standard for me, at least. Okay, invert, oh, not invert, grab the snake hook and pull it down. I usually leave mine on, but I'm pretty new to sculpting. I wanted to make sure I wasn't setting myself up for something bad. Yeah, I think that's a pretty, I guess, straightforward setting that, you know, you can just leave on for most of it. I think you realize when you're sculpting when you don't need it. So, you know, you see pretty quickly when you sort of go through the surface or when you don't have enough strength, and then you can just deactivate it. Okay. Let's add a little bit more neck here. The neck needs to be bigger. He can eat a lot, so he needs a big entrance. I don't want to care too much about the back here, because we're gonna remove it at the end anyway. So I'm just gonna sort of give it some more love, I guess you could say, and then we can go to the front again, add some more hair. I don't think I want to go to the next level of resolution. Although, how much time do we have? 30 minutes? That might be a good idea. Maybe. It's probably a good idea, yeah. There you go. Okay, so yeah, I don't want to add the arms, so I'll just cut it off somewhere over there, so I don't have to add them. Let's just do that now. You know what? No, I'm gonna leave it there. If I want to add a little bit more here in the back, I can still do that. Okay, let's save it first, so I don't, well, so it's saved. There you go. We sketch day 338. Perfect. So what we're gonna do today is something that I want to do, I guess, as like a series. So today, of course, we're gonna do a follow-along sculpting session about how to sculpt eyes. That is, I guess, suitable for everyone, but I guess catered to beginners. You know, if beginners can do it, advanced and pros can do it too, I guess. Expert. But I think I also want to do one for eyes. Well, first of all, I want to do them for more than just like, you know, eyes, for example, or I guess, you know, everything that sort of comes to mind. Eyes, lips, or whatever. Not just like, you know, I guess facial features, but more than that. And then you can even, I guess, divide it into, I guess, difficulties, which means that I would explain the workflow a little bit differently when it comes to beginner tutorials than when I would basically explain it for, I guess, advanced. What is it like? Advanced. for the advanced tutorial and the expert. I don't know what I would do for the expert necessarily, but I think I would stick with beginner and advanced for now. But I definitely want to do these more often. So this will be the first one in many, hopefully. Okay, let's add hair. 10 minutes. Okay, that's enough. First we're going to do the eyebrows. There you go. First draft. Let's grab the snake hook, make it more three-dimensional. Like that. Ooh. Perfect. Oh, I've never heard that song. Hopefully it'll stay that way. It looks kind of weird, but I'm gonna leave it there. We have no time. Oh, I definitely want to add the small little... Oh, first of all, we need to add more teeth or more tusks. So let's do that first. There you go. Smooth. Perfect. Okay. I don't want to detail the nose. I want to add the whiskers, you could say, I guess. Let's add the whiskers right here. I think I need to change the snake hook brush though. We need to change the magnify. We need to set it probably to 0.6, maybe even more. Magnify basically just retains the... Oh, that's the wrong one. Retains the, I guess, shape or the thickness. Usually with the normal fall off, you lose some thickness. But if you increase the magnification, you can keep it. So if you ever realize that you, you know, if I set this back to 5.5, for example, and then I sculpt, you can see I lose more and more. It gets thinner and thinner and thinner. And the more I do it, the thinner it gets. But if I increase the magnification, the magnify setting to 0.6, for example, it stays a little bit, I guess, thicker. It actually stays almost the same on, you know, it always looks the same. No matter how long I guess, draw it out. And then, of course, if you want to increase the magnification even more, then you can even make it bigger than what it was before. So if you do it more and more and more, you can see it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, which we can actually use here. We can just maybe even set it to 0.8, and then we just do this. There you go. Just kind of adding a little bit more detail here. It's not going to be, you know, super great looking, but I guess it's better than nothing. 7 minutes, perfect. There you go. Okay. And then we're going to grab the snake hook brush again. Of course, you can always do the opposite, magnify, or what I like to do is I like to go into these fall off settings and change smooth to linear, which creates these nice sharp endings for, I guess, what we pull out. See? Very, very useful for hair, for example, or also for, I guess, horns or spikes. It loses its, I guess, drag very quickly. But it creates these nice sharp endings. Or pointy endings. So but depending on what kind of look you're going for, you can change the fall off to suit your needs, I guess. Oh wow, that's yeah, that, you know, see, that is a case where you shouldn't have front faces only enabled. Want to move everything, so I need to disable it. There you go. Okay, let's go back to the main hog. We're not done yet. Five minutes, okay. Okay, that looks okay. Maybe we can add some more here. Just a little bit. I like to give it some more texture just by, I guess, adding some smaller bumps here. Refining these edges. Doesn't need to be perfect. It's just kind of supposed to, you know, add some more resolution to it. Go to the eyes too. In here. There you go. Perfect. Let's do the eyelids themselves. Just add some more detail here too. Shouldn't take too long. That should be good enough. We can still change it once we have the eyeballs in there. Okay, let's go to the ear. Nope, let's do the hair first. The actual stylish hairstyle. Go somewhere here in the back, and then we need to pull it out. There you go, nice little mohawk here. And then we can use the crease brush to just add some more detail to it. Make it actually look like hair. Of course, symmetry kind of ruins the organic effect, because usually everything organic has some sort of asymmetry, but I guess for this one, we can excuse it. Usually for the quick sketches, especially if I limit myself to 30 minutes, I don't spend too much time working in asymmetry, because that just takes too much time. So I just, you know, accept that it looks weird, a little bit at least. Or let's say it has its own, I guess, style. If you don't want to learn something, or you don't want to improve or practice something, you just say it's your style to do it that way. You know, hey, your ears look kind of weird. You know, that's just my style. Ah, okay. Nothing you can argue against that. Hey, why does your character have like... Why does it have legs as arms? You know, that's my style. I guess. Okay, I guess. Do what you want. Welcome, Lucas-san. Hope you enjoyed your Tuesday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You come just in time to admire this beautiful hog. Isn't it beautiful? Good old quick sketch. We have 2 minutes left, so let's give it a little bit more detail and then we're done. Today, just to say it again, we're gonna do a follow along sculpting session where where I'm gonna cover how to sculpt eyes. I guess you could say human eyes in Blender, my workflow that I use, and how to, yeah, how I do it. we're actually not gonna just use like a, I guess we're gonna use a sphere. We're gonna go do it, of course, from scratch. We're not gonna do it how I usually see it in tutorials. I don't know if that's like common, but that's how I remember it when I practice it. You know, using like a sort of block shape and then putting an eye in there. We're not gonna do it that way. We're gonna do it actually as if we would continue afterwards with a full character. Yeah, you know, that's how we're gonna do it. I'll try to explain everything that I do, of course, so you can follow along. And yeah, I don't know how long it's gonna take. Probably not that long, but going to be fun. And then afterwards, we're probably gonna go a little bit more into detail too, kind of looking at the, I guess, finer details of the eyes and learn a little bit more about them, how to sculpt them and what makes them sort of, I guess, what are the differences in human eyes and how you can, I guess, make them unique. A little oink oink, exactly. Okay. Oh, we need to add the side hair here too, and then we're done. 5 seconds, doesn't care. I don't care. Let's add the hair here and then we're done. I'll give myself that time. There you go. Look at it. Beautiful. Oh. There you go. Perfect. Okay. It's done. Let's cut off the back and then we're good. So we're gonna grab the good old... Where are you? There it is. Line project. Cut it off. Perfect. That's quite wide. Let me see if I can get rid of that. Let me use the simplify brush just to do that, and then we're good. Have you done a lesson on noses? Different noses? We haven't done noses yet. Well, we've sculpted noses before, but we haven't gone into too much detail with them just yet. But that's also something that I want to do at some point. So not only, you know, doing something similar to how to sculpt, you know, sculpting lips, but also doing stuff like how they're, I guess, built in terms of their anatomy and how they change in different, I guess, how they move and what makes them move and the different expressions and what characteristics they have, how you can make them unique and all that stuff. There you go. Okay. Get rid of this, and we need light. Wait, let's sculpt it. I mean, scale it up first, and then we need to add eyes too. It's kind of like a some sort of Mario boss right now. Just looking at the silhouette, as if this would be like a small crown up there, and then we have the silhouette right here with the ears, small arms on the side, and then the big body in the middle. That's sort of what it looks like. Okay, let's add the light. Nope, that's the wrong one. There it is. Okay. First of all, change the camera position. We also need... Oh, we haven't added eyes yet. Wait, did I copy another mesh? Oh, I did. Okay. Let's remove all these. What is this sphere? Oh, eye, right? Yeah, perfect. It's not gonna have glowing eyes. Just gonna have black eyes. There it is. Roughness. And look at him. He looks angry for some reason. He's not supposed to look angry. Well, I guess that's just how it is then. Should it have a smooth shading? Smooth shadows or smooth... I mean, hard shadows. Let's see what looks better. This would be with hard shadows. I think hard shadows usually pronounce the shape a little bit better than, I guess, smooth shadows. So I kind of want to... I tend to use hard edges or hard shadows rather than smooth ones. See, if you compare this one here, especially this surface, this surface right here, to if I make the light bigger, you can see a huge difference. See how much it kind of washes it out. Of course, that might be quite big, but still. You can't really see the details as much as if the light would be smaller. We can even make it even smaller, so the details are pronounced even more. I think that's pretty good. Let's add the... Oh, first of all, quick sketch, quick sculpt shader. There it is. Add some anisotrophy to it, and then we have... Oh, there's another one. There's something that I wanted to try. So, someone... I posted this, I guess, shader, I think on TikTok, and somebody mentioned that there's another, I guess, node that you can use to create this effect. This sort of crease effect, where if it's, I guess, if there are creases, it's going to look a little bit darker to make the sculpt look a little bit more, I guess, detailed. You can see it if I do this, see what it looks like. There's another node that can do that, which is the ambient occlusion node. If we use that one, it looks a little bit different, but I think if we change the, not the distance, but we use another color ramp here, maybe we can increase the detail here too, which might look even better. Look at that. Oh my. Okay. I think it has a different look comparing this one to this one. You can see it's way different. Let's see what it looks like in the shader. Okay. It definitely makes the ears, for example, I guess, darker. It doesn't... What if we combine them? Ooh, maybe we found the... We need to combine the the two to make it even better. So if we use mix RGB instead of to multiply. Maybe that's too much now. No, I think it looks pretty good actually. Maybe a little bit too much though. No, that's too much. That's pretty good. I think that's good enough. Welcome back, Hustler. Hope you had a great day. Hope you enjoyed your day. Whether you had to work or not. Hopefully now it's a little bit less stressful after Black Friday is over. I mean, I guess it's been over for a while now, but you know what I mean. Okay, which color? Hold on. I can't remember which colors I've used recently. I always forget. Let me check it out real quick. Blue, red, purple, green, I guess. What about orange? Oh, we haven't used orange for quite a while. Or yellowish orange, which fits quite well for this one. This one here, this looks pretty good. Maybe we should change the position though. Gold, yeah, something like that. Looks pretty cool. Maybe we could add some black contrast, although the shadow, I guess, does that pretty well. Welcome LG Fast, or maybe Ig Fast. Hope you enjoyed your Tuesday. I think that looks pretty cool. We don't have too much highlights here in the front, but I think it's enough. Okay, one more thing to really bring in the contrast would be to bring the contrast, I mean the background color down. There you go. And then we have this one just to kind of add a small reflection in the eye. Do we need that though? I don't think so. We already have one here. We have two. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, I think two is enough. One more thing that I forgot yesterday. Depth of field. Very important. Well, it's not necessary, but I like to add it. Adds a little bit of, well, you guessed it, depth to the image. There you go. Not much, but a little bit helps. We can also add a slight rotation if we want to. Sometimes it adds a little bit of layer. I think I like this one more. Makes it look like it's looking up into the sky. Makes it look more hopeful, I guess. There you go. Similar to the reference. Perfect. There you go. Pronouns. I use, I guess, standard male pronouns. He, him. Are there more? I don't know. Okay. Let's do the first render. There's post-production. Oh, wait. Why is it down there? Photoshop is ready to receive. Look at it. Isn't it beautiful? Let's add glare. Make it nice and shiny. Medium high. That's pretty cool. Lens distortion. Why not? I haven't used it for quite a while. I started using it in the beginning because it adds a cool effect. But then at some point I didn't want to overuse it. So I got rid of it. But now I kind of want to add it again. Because it adds this nice dispersion here on the side. Which looks really cool. Perfect. The hog is done. Time for its, I guess, post-production. Time for PP. Once it's done rendering. There it is. Perfect. Nope, it's not done yet. There it is. Okay. Save it, and we're good. Quick sketch day 338. Getting closer and closer to 365. Just a little bit more next month, I guess. Okay, let's switch over to Photoshop. I know I need to switch to the other one. To the other capture technique, whatever, but let's do that in just a second. There you go. Let's duplicate it, convert to smart object, and then display capture, because we want to use a new, I guess, window, or I guess it uses a new window, camera raw filter. There it is. Perfect. Okay, so what do we need? We need some color here. You know what, why not? It can be full-on orange, I guess. Maybe even a little bit of red here. Okay. Before and after. Just makes it a little bit warmer. Do we need more highlights? I don't think we need more. I think that's pretty good. Shadows. A little bit darker maybe. Texture. Always. Texture doesn't do too much, but clarity does a lot. See how much it changes the image. This looks pretty cool actually, but I don't like... It's very extreme, of course. It adds a cool effect to it, but it's a little bit too strong for my taste. So I'm probably just going to use like 21. And then I like to go to... I don't want to do color grading right now. So we're just going to go straight to the effects. Add a little bit of grain to it. First we use a denoiser, and then we're gonna add the noise back in. And then we're gonna use the vignette. Perfect. Before. Perfect. Beautiful, one might say. And that's today's quick sketch. And as always, I'm gonna upload it to social media. While I'm doing that, you're gonna see a quick compilation of some projects that I've done early, I guess last year. Before we go to today's main topic. Basically a follow along sculpting session where we're gonna sculpt a human eyes. It's gonna be catered to beginners, so we're gonna go through, I guess, I'm gonna explain it as simple as possible. We're also gonna go through all my sculpting settings, I guess. I think I want to make this a video, so if you don't want to see the, if you want to watch it again or whatever, you can watch the video, for example, where I probably also will include a download link to my Blender file if you want to use that. So you don't have to, change everything yourself. You can just download my version, and then have the starting file that I have too. There you go. Perfect. Wow, welcome back, Spherox. I'm glad that you're enjoying the view. Let's get back to Blender. Okay. So of course, we're gonna begin sculpting the eyes with this one. This is just a sphere. I'm gonna explain how I did this one. It's pretty simple, but it doesn't hurt to explain how I started with this. I always remember when I started, or every time I want to learn something new from scratch, for example, like any program, for example, Blender. I vividly remember that. How I always wanted to know exactly what somebody did, so I don't have to backtrack at some point, because I missed like a small step that they did. So hopefully I can cover everything that there's to cover when it comes to settings and preparing the file. It's pretty simple, but there's always small things, I guess. Okay. Hog has been loaded into my phone, so I'm going to see you in 3 minutes, and then we're going to go into today's topic, the, I guess, follow along sculpting session of sculpting human eyes. So I'll see you in 3 minutes, and then yeah, hope you enjoy the compilation. Here we are, back at it again. Let's bring back the music. There it is. Okay. As I said before, multiple times, we're going to begin today, I guess today's subject, with a follow-along sculpting session. So grab your pens, grab your graphic tablets, or you can also use a mouse if you want. Of course, you won't have the, I guess, flexibility of just using the pen pressure as your, I guess, strength regulation. But, you know, sculpting with a mouse and sculpting with a tablet aren't that different. I guess that's really the only thing that you that is really different when it comes to the use of or the feeling when you're using it. Yeah, I think if you're comfortable sculpting with a mouse, it's pretty much the same. You know, you can still change the strength very quickly with a mouse too. Of course, it's a little bit, I guess, more convenient by just using the pen pressure. But you don't have to use a mouse for this. Yeah. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna do a sculpting session. We're gonna do a follow-along sculpting session, sculpting an eye or human eyes, let's say. I'm gonna go. This is basically suited for, I guess, everyone, beginners all the way up to experts, if you want. I'll try to cover everything, all the settings in Blender first, and then we're gonna go straight into sculpting the eyes. So we can go through the workflow. Yeah, we're gonna go through the workflow starting from scratch with a sphere, and then we're gonna end with eyes, basically. We're not gonna go into too much detail when it comes to the anatomy. I want to keep it fairly simple to do and fairly intuitive, I guess. We're gonna go through everything one by one and yeah, make some quick eyes. Let's enable screencast keys. There you go. So let's begin with the settings first. I guess one of the settings that might be important would be the view. In the view, you have the focal length that can be important for sculpt. You could, if you want, you could set it to 85, for example. That is usually a good focal length if you want to sculpt characters, especially if you want to sculpt realistic characters, because sometimes focal length can mess with the perceived proportions because it kind of distorts, I guess, geometry the closer you are to the sculpt. But we can also keep it to 50. Clip start, clip end doesn't really matter too much. The other settings don't really matter too much. So this one is, I use these settings here basically. Let's go to the sphere itself, or let's hide everything that we don't need. There you go. Okay, so the sphere itself. The sphere is basically just a, I guess, normal UV sphere. So Shift A, and then we go into mesh and then UV sphere, the exact same size as the standard UV sphere. If we hide or remove the old one, what I then do is I select the UV sphere, I press up here, switch the mode from object mode to sculpt mode, and then once we're in sculpt mode, we can change a few settings. I actually don't do it that way. Let's go back. So once we have the sphere, what I usually do is I go up here into the sculpting tab. The sculpting tab changes the layout of everything a little bit more to make it, I guess, easier to sculpt, for me at least. So it looks more like this. I have my image here, which we can, I guess, use in, I guess you could say, reference image, for example, and then I have another one to see the sculpt itself. If you want to have that too, then you can add that to your scene too. So how I create that sphere that you've seen before is I just, you know, go into sculpt mode, and then I have the sphere where I can sculpt on, as you can see. But before I do that, I go and press Control. Was it Control or Shift R? Nope, that's the wrong one. I press Control R to retopologize the, no, not retopologize, to remesh the sphere so that everything is sort of, yeah, remeshed basically. It sort of just, I guess, fixes an error or an error message that you get every time you enable dynamic topology down here, which we're going to use. So by just pressing Control R, we fix that problem. What would happen before? So if we now go into dynamic topology, you can see we get this warning message: vertex data detected. Dynamic topology will not preserve vertex colors, UVs, or other custom data. It would basically pop up every time we enable dynamic topology. So we can avoid that by just pressing Ctrl R to retopologize or remesh the model. And now we have the sphere that we had before. The the same, but your fingers are gonna tingle, I guess. I use a tablet. I use a pen and a tablet, but you can also use a mouse if you want. Not really a big difference. Once you're comfortable with either, you know, it doesn't really make a difference. There you go. Oh well, I'm gonna keep that there. We're gonna use vanilla brushes. So we're gonna use all the brushes that we're gonna use today. Include the clay strips brush. I have, I guess you can see here my button presses. I have hotkeys for them. I have one for my clay strips brush. That's what we're going to use the most. We have two for the crease brush. This one right here, crease brush. Here's the clay strips brush. The second one, the crease brush here. The third one we're going to use is the grab brush. More occasionally, sometimes if we want to adjust smaller parts of the sculpt. Then we have the mask brush, which will be fairly important. With the mask brush, you can exclude parts of the mesh to be affected by any other brushes, basically. We're gonna explore that, soon. And then, I don't think we're gonna use this one today, but I just want to show the standard brushes that I use. The snake hook brush, and then the pose brush. I don't really use these last two, so we're gonna use the clay strips brush. We're gonna use the crease brush. We're gonna use the grab brush. And we're going to use the mask brush. In terms of settings for the different, I guess, for the different tools or for the different brushes, generally speaking, for the radius, I always deactivate pressure sensitivity or size pressure. I like to have my cursor show how big the brush actually is. I don't like it if you basically enable the radius. The cursor doesn't really matter anymore. I can show you what I mean. So if I now basically sculpt on here with pressure sensitivity enabled, you can see the brush is this big. But if I sculpt actually, I'm going to sculpt with a smaller size. But if I deactivate pressure sensitivity, the brush cursor size actually shows me how big the brush will be. So now if I sculpt, you can see it's way bigger. I like to have it deactivated. This way I can it's more intuitive for me. I actually see how big I'm sculpting rather than having to guess and just having to press a lot on my tablet, I guess. So pressure sensitivity off. This thingy here. And unified radius on. Strength 0.6 as the starting point. We're probably going to change that a little bit when we're sculpting. The strength, you can sort of, I guess, strength is more, I guess, you can sort of decide what the strength should be. You can, you can have a strength of 1, you can have a strength of, I don't know, like 0.1, whatever is comfortable for you. Usually I sculpt in a range from 0.5 to 1, especially in the beginning. So we're going to leave it at like 0.6 roughly. And all the other settings I think they're pretty much standard. I use, everything else. We can maybe enable front faces only here in the advanced settings. So if we, tip this underneath all the standard settings, we can go to advanced, and then we have these settings here. And the one that is important or interesting is accumulate. If that's not on, you can add that too. Accumulate basically just means that if you brush over the same spot over and over and over again, it will add more and more and more volume to it, which can be very helpful by just, if you want to, I guess, remove or add a lot of volume very quickly. And then the other one is front faces only. Basically, you sculpt, your brush affects all the faces that you can see, and all the faces that you can't see will not be affected. It's not really that useful for eyes, a little bit maybe in the end, but yeah, just enable it and then you're good basically. The other ones, I don't use textures, I don't change the stroke settings, fall off, I don't change either. Let's go to dynamic topology. We're going to use dynamic topology for this. Dynamic topology basically means that you add more geometry to the mesh wherever you need it. So if you set it to a resolution of 20, it's going to convert this geometry to a resolution of 20, which means if we go to this view here and we sculpt, you can see it adds some more geometry. Basically, it converts the geometry that is currently there to 20 resolution instead of what it was before, maybe 10 or so. So we're going to begin with 20. We're maybe going to go higher to 50, but we're going to use 20 for the most part. I'm going to use the refine method subdivide collapse and the detailing method constant detail. I don't like to use relative detail. I use constant detail. Detail flood fill we don't need. I also don't like smooth shading. I like to keep all the faces. I like to see all the faces because that sort of gives me more of an idea what the actual shape looks like. Or what the structure looks like. Okay, we're going to begin, of course, with a sphere. We're going to create some sort of cube and then add the eyes onto it. We're going to basically go through the workflow that I would use for a character and begin with the eyes, basically. Of course, we're not only going to do the eyes, but I don't want to do like, okay, you know, we're going to do an eye here and then we're going to add this or whatever. We're actually going to create, I guess, 2 eyes next to each other, which means that there's one more setting that we need to enable. I think it's standard that it's enabled, but just to make sure, we go into symmetry and we enable mirror. It was actually deactivated for me for some reason. Now it's enabled. We go into symmetry, down here under dynamic topology, remesh, and then symmetry, and we enable the X mirror. This way you can basically sculpt, and it's going to be mirrored to the other side of the sphere. And this way we can create 2 eyes at the same time. So we have twice the sculpting speed, basically. Okay. I think that covers everything when it comes to the settings. So let's go straight into it, I would say. We're going to begin with the... Oh, we're going to begin with the snakehook brush, actually. I lied. We're actually going to use the snakehook brush for the beginning, at least. So what we need to do first is we need to create the head, because eyes are inside of a head. So let's begin with the head. Sculpting a head is fairly simple. We're going to grab the snakehook brush, make the brush size quite big. We can make it maybe as big as the sphere is, the cursor as big as the sphere is. Then we're going to go somewhere here in the middle. And then we're going to select it and we're going to drag it down. We can now define sort of how long the face should be, or the head. I think that's a pretty good size, just a little bit lower than the sphere was before. So we have this little, I guess, hook right here, or this little piece. We can maybe make it flat, so we're gonna pull it back just a little bit. There you go. We have this nice round surface here in the front. What we then need to do is we need to go here in the back, and we want to make the jawline right here. We already have the chin here in the front, so what we need to do is basically what we've done before. We're going to grab the surface somewhere up here, and we're going to drag it down and create a nice little line right here. It can look a little bit like a Pac-Man ghost, I guess. You know, we can shape it as much as we want, as long as we, you know, I guess, don't fear changing anything. You can always change what you have in front of you. So just drag it down until you have these sort of edge right here. You can just grab with the snake hook again, which is this one here, this brush, snake hook brush. You pull it down like this, and this way you can create this jawline. You can see it looks kind of weird right now. It looks a little bit too wide. So what we're going to use now is we're going to use the grab brush, which is this one right here. And we're going to move this a little bit further in. We're going to push it into the middle like this. Maybe even here on the side a little bit, just a little bit closer together. It looks a little bit wobbly here on the side, so we're going to use, if we press shift, we're actually going to introduce one more brush. If you have any brushes enabled that, I guess, like for example the clay strips brush, switch to the clay strips brush. If you then press shift, you have a secondary function which basically smoothes the mesh. So if you want to make this edge here, for example, or the jawline smoother, we can select the clay strips brush or any, for example, of the blue brushes to keep it simple, and then holding shift and then applying the brush smoothes the surface. So once we get this nice straight line here, and then we have the jawline. There you go. I see that this part here in the front, for me, it's quite, I guess, quite wide. So I'm just going to make it a little bit thinner here in the front. Just kind of push it together so that in the end, we have a shape, if you look from the bottom, that looks like a V, basically. So just kind of change the shape with the grab brush a little bit until we get a nice V shape like this. There you go. The chin might be a little bit too long, so we can use the smooth brush again and smooth it out a little bit. There you go. Okay. I also like to fill the jaw down here. So what I like to do is I like to grab the clay strips brush and just kind of add more volume here so we can fill out the jaw down there. I guess like this. Add the mouth, I guess. And then to make it a little bit smoother, we can press shift again and smooth all this. There you go. So now we have the head. Looks pretty good. Maybe, you know, I think it's a little bit too wide. Maybe for you it looks pretty good. If it's new, I guess not as wide as mine. I think mine is a little bit too wide. So I'm just going to push it together a little bit more. Grab the grab brush and then push it together. There you go. Okay, so now that we have the head, let's begin with the eyes. I actually always or usually begin with the eyes because the eyes have a pretty good, I guess, they are a good anchor point in the face and they're pretty simple to, I guess, locate in the face. We're going to use the clay strips brush. We're going to make it smaller, maybe like this. And then we're going to locate the middle of the head height-wise. So we're going to go from the bottom, from down here, to all the way to the top. And we're going to sort of find the middle. I think the middle is somewhere over here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to one side. We're going to press Control so we can use the brush subtractively. So we're going to remove volume. And then we're going to apply it and create small holds like this. We're just going to do a circular motion so we can create holds like this. If we do that a few more times, we can make deep holes right here. So we can begin and we can add the eye holes basically. There you go. And then we have the eye holes. That's the first step to creating eyes. The next step is we need to grab the grab brush. So we're going to go switch to this brush again, the grab brush. We're going to go to the side view and we're going to use the brush. We're going to go into the, I guess, onto this wall right here, the nose wall, you could say, or into the eye hole from the side. We're going to select it right here and we're going to drag the mesh back a little bit. So we're going to select it here and then just pull it back a little bit like that. There you go. What we've just created is a forehead and also a, I guess, sort of nose shape. We need to refine it a little bit more if you wanted to. But we also, of course, not only created the forehead, we also refined the eye shape a little bit more. We can now go into the eyes actually. So now we have sort of shaped the eye holes. We can now go into the eyes themselves. So the first part, two eyes, of course. They're not, eyes are not just holes. They actually have, I guess, content in them. They have eyeballs. So why don't we add the eyeball right now? I think before I want to do that, I just want to go a little bit closer here. This bridge right here is a little bit too wide for me, so I'm just gonna make it a little bit thinner using the clay strips brush subtractively, holding Control. There you go. That should be good enough. So that the eyes look like sort of oval shapes. Like this, nice little ovals here. And then, yeah, that's a pretty good eye shape. The next step would be to add the eyeballs. Pretty simple. We go into the eye holes. We select the clay strips brush again if it isn't selected. And then we just draw out, I guess, small bumps. So we go into the eye hole and then we just apply the brush and go in a circular motion to create the eyeball. There you go. You can see it from the side too. That's what the eyeball looks like. And then we already have, yeah, the first part of the eye. Of course, the eyeballs are surrounded by something which is called the eyelid. So let's add that one now. Fairly simple. The eyelids, I guess, wrap around the eyeball so now that we already have the eyeball, adding the eyelids is fairly simple. Generally speaking, the inner corner is, well, it's not necessarily that way, but what we're going to do now is we're going to use the clay strips brush again. We're going to go to the inner corner here, somewhere here in the middle of the eyeball. We're going to apply this, and then we're going to do a motion around the eyeball to the other side. I'm going to show you what I mean. We're going to sort of draw a bridge. So we're going to fill this crease here with the clay strips brush. We're going to begin here. We can even do it in multiple strokes. Just kind of fill the eyelid right here. I mean, fill the eyeball with a crease around the eyeball like this, which basically creates the eyelids surrounding the eyeball. There you go. So now we have the first eyelid. Let's do the other one down here. It's basically the same. We just go down here. We go to the corner right here, or where we started sculpting the upper eyelid. We do the same again. We apply it and go around the eyeball. There you go. Now he looks already like he can see. We can already see sort of the eye. We have the eyeballs, we have the eyelids, and we have the eye holes, I guess you could say. What we need to do now is kind of, I guess, refine everything a little bit. So now that we have the muscles, I guess, and the eyeball, we need to add one more thing, which is the fat around, or which is over the eyelids themselves. The eyes aren't done without the fat sort of surrounding the eyelid. So let's look into that now. Now that we have the shape, let's look at the rest. One more thing that I want to do before we go into the fat is I want to refine the eye hole. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go here to the side. You can see there's like this small edge right here. I want to smooth that out. So we're just going to keep the clay strips brush. We hold shift and then we smooth this out. Maybe on the side here, we can make it bigger and just tap it to apply the smooth brush very, very lightly, so we can smooth out these edges. There you go. Maybe even up here. Up here we can keep it quite steep, so I just want to do it a little bit, not too much. There you go. Okay, we can see we lost sort of the definition for the lower eyelid, but we can bring that back later. So now that we have we've refined the eye hole, let's go into the next step, which would be adding the eyebrows. The eyebrows are very important because that's basically where the fat above the eye rests. It is very important to get the eye shape right. So let's add the eyelids, the eyebrows first, and then we can go into the fat above the eyelids. So what we're going to do, generally speaking, the eyebrows have a pretty simple shape. They start somewhere over here in the middle, a little bit above the eyelid, like this. And then they have a shape that looks like this, like basically like two sides of a cube. So it looks like this. This is the first side, and then the other side is right here. That's what it's supposed to look like. Which means that this edge right here is supposed to be further forward, and it needs to protrude a little bit more. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the crease brush, the clay strips brush I mean. We're going to add some more volume here. Just go a little bit further, maybe like this. There you go, that's pretty good. And then we need to ease it in this direction and in this direction. So we're just going to add a little bit more volume on both sides to make it a little bit smoother. On this side and then on this side too. Just to ease the eyebrow a little bit. There you go. And now we have eyebrows. We can, I guess, shape it a little bit more if you want. To refine it with the grab brush. You can use the grab brush if you press 3, I guess, for me, or you can just select it right here. I think you can also press G, right? Can you press G? You can also press G to use the grab brush, and then you can refine it a little bit more. There you go. Okay, so we now have eyebrows, we have the eyelids, we have the eyeball. The next step that is missing still is the fat underneath the eyebrows. So how do we do that? How do we add that? Well, we just go underneath the eyebrow. The fat is located somewhere right here. Right underneath the, well, between the eyelid and the eyebrow, I guess. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the clay strips brush again, and we're going to fill this part of the crease, or this part of the mesh, a little bit more. So we're gonna apply the clay strips brush again. We're gonna keep 0.6 strength. I haven't changed the strength yet. We're just gonna add a little bit more here, over here. And then we're gonna just do a little bit more and add a little bit more on this side too. There you go. So what we've added right now, right there, is the fat pad. So now we basically have everything that is included in eyes. We have the eyeball, we have the eyelid, we have both eyelids, and we have the fat pad underneath the eyebrow. And then we also have the eyebrow. We haven't added the hairs, I guess you could say, but we at least added the shape. It kind of looks like he has like raised his eyebrows. So if that's the case for you too, we can go back to the grab brush, press G, or I guess just select it down here. Select the eyebrows and just pull them down a little bit. Now he looks a little sad. There you go. Weird. There you go. Welcome, Kodesh. Hope you enjoyed your Monday. I mean, your Tuesday. Welcome. There you go. Now let's go and refine the shapes a little bit. Now we already have the eyes. Let's refine the shapes a little bit. First things first. Let's refine the eyelids. To refine the eyelids, what we can do is we could just use the crease brush. The crease brush can not only dig into meshes or into volume or into a sculpt like this, but it can also, I guess, sharpen and, I guess, protrude meshes. It's very, very good to refine edges, for example. So what we're going to do is we're just going to refine the eye shape and also the eyelids a little bit. We're going to go close to the eye. We're going to select the crease brush. I have it on 2.5 strength. And then I hold Control. And I'm going to go around the eye. Basically, pronounce the eye shape. Or you could also say the eyelids. So I'm going to go from here. It's quite weak, so we can be quite strong. We can apply it quite strongly. And we're just going to go and create this nice little sharp edge right here. Now that we have this edge up there, we're going to do the same down here. We're going to start here. We're going to go around the eyeball and create the eye shape. There you go. So we've refined the eyelids. We can do the same for the eyeball. You can see it sort of has a weird transition here. How we can mitigate that, or how we can refine that part too, is we don't hold Control. We just apply the brush, the crease brush, how it is. We do it again. We go around the eyelids, I guess, but this way down here in this crease. So we're gonna crease, or I guess increase the sharpness down here too. We're just gonna apply the crease brush down here so we can refine the eye shape like this. There you go. That's the upper eyelid. We're gonna do the same down here. Don't worry. You know, with this little resolution, sometimes it's a little bit harder to change the geometry, but that's not too bad. Sometimes it just doesn't want to move. Then you just kind of have to maybe just, you know, like this one here, it's kind of hard to move. Sometimes just kind of dragging other geometry up can work. Sometimes you just kind of have to, I guess, accept it. There you go. Welcome back, James. Hope you enjoyed your Tuesday. There you can see we have the eyes now. Yeah. One more thing that we can do is usually what you would probably do for characters is you would add a sphere in the end. We're probably not going to do it for this one. Actually, no, we're going to do it for this one. So this workflow includes adding a sphere for the eyeballs. So we're going to go into that soon. But one thing that I want to change right now is I want to change the curve that we can see here right now. The curve is quite shallow. So what I want to do is I want to select the grab brush again. We've used the grab brush quite a lot, so let's continue using it. We're going to grab the grab brush. We're going to make it a little bit bigger. And then we're going to go to both eyelids, slightly side. We're going to look at it sort of sideways so that we can select the eyelid here and pull it forward. Getting a schedule on track. So yeah, We're going to go in here, we're going to select the eyelid, and we're going to pull it forward a little bit. Making it quite big, strength is 0.4, and then just drag it forward a little bit. We're going to do the same for the upper eyelid. We're going to select it, and then we're going to drag it forward. There you go. Perfect. So that it's a nice curve right here. Maybe you have to do a few more adjustments just to kind of get it right, but it should look something like this right now. There you go. So that the curve is like this. Okay. And that's basically the first layer, the 20 resolution. Now that we've sort of outlined the shape of the eyes, we can go into the next layer of resolution, which would basically refine the eyes, and then we can finalize the eyes basically. So now that we've outlined and created the basic shape of the eye, we can go back to the dynamic topology settings down here. If you scroll down in your brush settings, and then we find the resolution here, we change the resolution to 50. There you go. Okay, what that means basically is that we have more, I guess, yeah, resolution to work with, which means if we now apply any brush that changes the geometry or that changes the volume, you can see we get more resolution. Why we do that is because the eyes are quite detailed, and we want to add a little bit more detail and a little bit more smoothness to the eyes, which is why we increase the dynamic topology resolution. Okay. So how do we begin? I guess the best way to begin, how I like to begin, is with the crease brush again. We're going to go to the crease brush, select it, and then we're going to go into the a small fold that you can oftentimes see, you usually see, especially in Caucasian, I guess, people, is the small fold that gets created where sort of the fat pad and the eyelid meet. Let me actually pull up an image real quick so I can show you what I mean. There it is. So if you look at this reference right here, you can see the fat pad is up here, which is right there. We have the eyelid, of course, which is right here. One thing that is missing right now is this crease right here. And that's what we're going to add right now. We couldn't really do it before, not as well with this low of a resolution, but now that we have more, we can do it. So what we're going to use is we're going to use the crease brush right here. Strength is at 0.2 again, 0.25. With dynamic topology on 50 resolution. And then we're going to go up here and we're going to create the crease. It is basically surrounding the eyelid. So what we're going to do is we're going to begin here in the middle, a little bit above the eye corner where the eyelids meet. We're going to begin by just applying the brush. And you can see we can create this nice deep crease right here. We can maybe even make the crease brush stronger, maybe 0.5. 0.5 should be good. And then if we apply it again, you can see we can create this nice little crease, which we then create around the eyelid like this. It's not supposed to touch the eyelid. It's just supposed to be sort of offset from it, sort of parallel to it, like this, going around the upper eyelid. There you go. That's what it looks like. Okay. There you go. Now that we have more resolution, let's continue in this area and refine some more stuff. Another thing is that we still have this sharp edge right here. We can ease it a little bit. We can just either smooth it by selecting any of these blue brushes, for example, and then holding shift and applying the brush to smooth it. But before we do that, what I like to do is I like to just, I guess, apply a little bit more geometry to this area by using the brush natively. So we're just going to use it subtractively. So holding control, we're going to hold control, and then we're going to apply the brush to make this crease a little bit, or this edge a little bit smoother, like this. There you go. So it looks like this. Okay. So now we've added the crease, we've made this a little bit smoother. Let's go to the next part. We've already added the fat pad up here, but I kind of want to refine it a little bit more now that we have more resolution. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do we're going to sculpt it again. We're going to add a little bit more volume to it in a shape that looks like, oh, I can't really add two more, I guess. Hold on. In a shape that looks like this, in this sort of tier shape right here. Just a little bit more volume right here. How we're going to do that is we're just going to use the clay strips brush again, and then we're going to just apply a little bit more volume to this part. Just a little bit more, not too much. Like this. There you go. Okay. We can smooth this area. There you go. Here in the middle of the eye. There you go. Okay. Making sure that this crease stays right there. Perfect. Okay. Now that we've sort of refined the upper part, let's go to the next step, which would be the eyelids themselves. Let's go to the upper eyelid first. I guess the easiest way to begin would be just to add more geometry to the upper part of the eyelid. I guess the easiest way to do that would just be to use the clay strips brush. The way I want to use it is I actually want to, I guess, get rid of some of this volume. I just want to make the eyelid a little bit thinner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the clay strips brush, hold Control, and then I'm going to apply it to just kind of not only add more geometry, as you can see, but also remove some of that thickness. There you go. And then we have a slightly thinner eyelid. The upper eyelid is pretty good. Let's go to the lower eyelid, do the same there. So we're just going to use the clay strips brush again, hold Control, and then we're just going to very, very lightly apply it. So we can create this nice definition and also make the eyelid a little bit thinner. There you go. Okay. You can see we get this weird edge here. If we go around the edge, I guess you could say, with the clay strips brush. So we can use the smooth brush again and just kind of go over the edge by tapping the smooth brush to make it nice and, yeah, smooth basically. So we tab the smooth brush, holding shift with the clay strips brush, for example, holding shift with it so we can smooth this edge right here. There you go. Okay. The next part is I want to shape the eye, I guess the opening of the eye itself a little bit more. You can see we have this sort of bump right here right now. The shape of the eye itself looks kind of weird. So let's adjust that a little bit. The way we can do that is we can use the grab brush again. We're going to switch to the grab brush right here. And we're just going to adjust the shape by applying it and moving it into place. We kind of want to have something similar to this. So like an almond shape, I guess you could say. We're going to move the middle of the eye is the, I guess, most open area. And then it sort of ends in these two edges or corners right there. There you go. There you go. Perfect. Okay. So now that we have this nice almond shape, there's one more thing that I want to do is I want to use the crease brush again. So we're going to switch to the crease brush, and then I want to refine the edge here. You can see here we have this little, I guess, this little dimple right there, the tear duct. We want to refine that. The tear duct is quite low res right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to begin down here on the lower eyelid, and we're going to create a small little, I guess, hook for a small tear duct shape down here. We're going to hold Control to pull out geometry or to add more volume, so we can create this nice little rounded edge or corner right there. And then we have the tear duct in there. Okay. There's one more thing that I want to do to finalize the eyelids, and that is basically we're going to use the crease brush again. And what you can see down here is these lines. That basically sort of shows the transition from the eyelid to the rest of the face. We want to add that here too. So we're going to use the crease brush. We're not going to hold control, we're just going to apply the brush. And we're going to begin right underneath the tear duct and just create a small line right here. Like this, going around the eyelid. We're going to stop somewhere here. Not like, I guess, 3/4 or 2/3 through. Right here, we're going to end right here. A little bit past the middle. There you go. Looks a little bit tired, but a little bit more definition doesn't hurt. Okay. Yeah, now that we have the eyelids defined, we have the fan pad up here. Let's go to the eyes. As I said before, I want to replace this volume or the sculpted eyes or eyeballs with actual spheres. So what we need to do is we need to remove this. The easiest way to remove this would be to just dig into it, to remove it with the crease brush. So we're going to keep the crease brush. We're going to go close to it. The strength doesn't really matter too much. Of course, the stronger it is, the easier it is. But what I want to do now is basically I just want to remove the sculpted eyeball. So we're just going to go in here and create a nice hole right here. Trying to get rid of all this geometry. So we can replace it with a sphere. Make sure that you don't remove the tear duct right here. Very important. I want to keep the tear duct. And then I just kind of remove the volume. Just go in a circular motion, remove it more and more and more. There you go. What you can also do if you want is you can, I guess, create like an actual spherical hole by going down here and removing some of the volume down here too. It's not necessary because you probably don't see it in the end, but if you want to, you can do that. We can do the same up here. Just to kind of, I guess, refine the shape of the eyelids a little bit more too. There you go. There you go. Okay, now we have the eye holes. I think it's time to add the actual eyeballs that we want to use. So we need to go back to the layout mode. So we go to these tabs up here. We switch to layout. And then just as we did it in the beginning, we're going to press Shift S. No, not Shift S. We're going to press Shift A, Mesh, UV Sphere. We're going to add a UV Sphere. We're going to move it with the G to the side. If you press G and then X, we move it on the X axis. And then we go to the modifier settings down here, or on the right side, and we apply a mirror modifier right there. Then we say which mirror object we want to use. We just click this, and then we select the head with another left click. This basically mirrors it on the, I guess, on this object. So now we have two eyeballs basically. You can see they're a little bit too big. So what we need to do is we need to scale them, pressing S, until they're, you know, fairly good in their size. And then we press G again and we place them in the eye socket basically. If they're still too big, of course you can adjust it so that they fit, you know, snugly into the eye, into the eyelids. If you can see that it's sort of uneven right here, you can see this part here is thicker than this part. That's okay, because we can, now that we've added the eyeballs, we can adjust the shape a little bit more. So once you've added the eyeball, the middle of the sphere should be somewhere right there in the middle of the, I guess, eye itself. And then we can go back to the scope mode. So we go from layout up here to the sculpting tab, so we can adjust the eye a little bit more, so we can finish, I guess, the eyes. How have you been? I've been pretty good. Pretty good. You know, getting back to work and just getting back into things, I guess you could say. Yeah, nothing crazy has changed. Okay, so now that we have the eyeballs, we can go in here. What drawing tablet is a good starter kit? I use the Wacom Intuos. I have only really used that one, and then there was another one that I've used before. I don't know what that one was called. I think that was sort of like a no-name tablet. I think Wacoms are pretty good. I don't know that much about tablets themselves. I just use my Wacom now for I think like 5 years or more. So that one is a pretty good one. But there are other brands that work very well too. I don't really know too much about what tablet is good. But if you want to have a good one to start with, the Wacom right here is pretty good. Okay, now that we have the eyes, the eyeballs, the actual eyeballs, let's reshape the eyelids so that the eyeballs are nice and fit in between them. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the grab brush again. We're down here, and we're just going to make sure that what we see here, the thickness that we have here, or well, the thickness might differ between me and you. So just make sure that it's a little bit thicker than what we can see here, but still has an even thickness around the eyeball. So what I want to do to fix that is I'm going to go here pretty close to the eye, and I'm just going to pull it out like this. There you go. So now down here we have a pretty good thickness. We're going to do the same up here. I'm going to make it a little bit thicker right there. There you go. Okay. And now we basically have everything that we need. There's one more thing that I want to do to finish the eyeballs. And that is basically, I want to finalize the, I guess, eye shape again. You can see right now, usually down here underneath the iris is, or the middle of the eye is sort of the deepest part of the eye. So to fix that, as you can see, it's not right for us, or for me right now here. This part is the deepest part, but it should be somewhere over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this edge, or this part of the eyelid, and just pull it up a little bit. There you go. And now we have good looking eyes. There you go. And that's basically how I sculpt eyes. Wacom C472. Yeah, I don't know about tablets, so I can't really speak about them. Yeah, but that basically concludes the eyes. There's one more thing that you could do. If, for example, you see if the tear duct is like that deep for you, sometimes with symmetry it can mess up. What you can do is you can just fill it up by adding more volume here. If you add some volume right there, you can fill up the tear duct to make it look a little bit more, I guess, natural. So yeah, as you can see here, for example, symmetry can sometimes mess up the eyes, for example. So you can see this eye is way rougher than the other one. If you want to fix that, you can go in here, use the smooth brush by holding shift with any blue brush, for example. There you go. And then you have the eye fixed basically. And then we have two eyes. Look at them. Don't they look cute? Of course, what you can also do is, if you want to, I guess, refine them a little bit. We're not going to go into too much more detail here, but yeah, if you want to refine them a little bit, or refine the eyeball, you can go back to the layout. You can select the eyeball, and you can rotate them on the x-axis. So press R and then X, and then press 90, so we can actually see iris-like shapes right there. What we can do then is we can go into edit mode. So pressing tab, selecting, I guess if you press C, you can select with the circle. We select all these faces, and then we extrude them backwards. So press E, pull them backwards. If they don't extrude on the blue axis, the Z axis, you can also press Z, and then Z again, which is the local axis, to pull it back. And then one more thing we can do is we can deselect it again by pressing A twice, and then we can use the C selection again. So pressing C, the cursor selection, selecting these faces here in the middle, and then we do the same again. We press E to extrude those back. There you go. And then we have actual eyes. The eyes might be a little bit, I guess, harsh, but they're, you know, I guess they look somewhat like eyes. So if you want to have eyes for your character, you know, you could maybe use this, or you could spend a little more time making them a little bit better. But at least we can now see, I guess, the eyes with actual irises, or actual eyes. And that basically concludes how I sculpt eyes, and how, yeah, this concludes the, I guess, beginner tutorial for eyes. If I do those again, maybe we can go a little bit more into anatomy, but this will cover it. I wanted to focus more on how to do it, and I guess, you know, how to do it, how to use the tools, rather than focusing on the, I guess, like, the anatomy, for example. I think that's a little bit too much. You don't really need to know that if you know, if you're new to sculpting. Yeah. Now we have the final eyes. I think it's pretty simple, the way I do it. Maybe not. Maybe you say, oh dude, it's so complicated, you know. I'm always open for feedback. One thing I oftentimes see if these for these sort of tutorials is that they sculpt on a plane, for example, or on a cube, which I think is weird, or even on a sphere and just do one eye. I just like to do it like practically immediately, so you can actually see like, oh, we have a head, and then we already see what the eyes would look like on a head, rather than going into the like putting it on a sphere and not really having anything to compare it to. I just like it. I like to do it this way. Okay, there you go. Now we have a a head without anything but eyes. Perfect. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Let's actually see. What if we go to YouTube and look up, I guess, Blender sculpting eyes. Okay, this one actually does, I guess you could say, both, which is good. Let's see. What does Yan do? Can we see it? Nope, we don't. Do we? Let's see.
Hey.
Nope. Yeah, see, this one is basically, you know, a little bit more, I guess, like focus on the eye itself. Of course, this one I think is full character. Okay, I guess it's somewhat, it's actually pretty similar. Yeah, I think it makes more sense to really use like full head rather than just using a cube, because then you can sort of put it in relation to the rest of the head. Okay. There you go. If there are any more questions, of course, you can always ask them. What we're going to do now is, now that we have some more time, is I want to, I guess, refine this a little bit more. I also want to look at the anatomy of the eyes a little bit more, so that's probably what we're going to do in the beginning, or what we're going to do now. I have a few questions that I want to answer that are very specific. A few questions that I still had when it comes to sculpting the eyes and the position of the eyes and the eyelids and all that. Yeah, I want to, you know, I guess, cover those, and then we can maybe sculpt another set of eyes. And then refine that one a little bit more, maybe. Always struggle making the ear. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I'm actually curious what sort of techniques people use for ears when they're sculpting ears, because ears are fairly simple, at least with the technique that I use. Let's see what other people do. Okay. So they use a cube. Interesting. Of course, it's sort of, you know, lifted off the surface of the head, looking from the front or from the back, depending on whatever you want to use. And then, okay. Okay, yeah, they do it that way. I don't like to just, I guess, pull it out of the mesh. I think you can kind of speed it up a little bit, make it a little bit simpler by just, I don't know if it's actually simpler for, I guess, beginners to do it that way, the way I do it. It feels very intuitive for me, but maybe it's actually easier to do it this way. what I do is I mask out the ear shape. Actually, no, I think it's easier to do. I think it's fairly simple the way I do it. Okay. And then they go into the middle and create the rest, right? Okay. Yeah. Of course, we have a few more. I don't want to go through all of them. So let's not do that. Okay, so let's answer a few questions. The first question that I had is basically the relation between the two eye corners. The question that I always had is this eye corner here on the same height as this eye corner if you look from up top, so from here? Does the eyelid, if you look like an X-ray, does it look like this, so that the outer corner is further back, or does it look like this, where the inner corner is as far forward as the outer corner? That's one question that I had. I think it's the first one, where it is further back, the outer corner is further back than the inner corner, but I just want to make sure, you know. I guess eyelids X-ray maybe. Let's see what we can find here. That's not what I wanted. This one. Well, you can't really see it here. This one is a pretty common image to sort of look at the eyes, for example. So this one you can see how the eyeballs, for example, oftentimes don't point perfectly forward, but they have a slight outward rotation. Pretty scary images. Yeah, I think that's like a very hard question to answer. Maybe it's easier to just go to full-on like models rather than going to, I guess, X-rays, for example. So maybe we can find a good image here, for example, for these models where we can see it. I think it's a very, very hard, we need a very specific angle to see the relation between the inner and outer corner. So I think it's the inner corner is further forward than the outer corner. But I just want to make sure. Yeah, I don't think this will help us. Maybe this one. Nope. Any other? Maybe this one. For this one, we don't have any any eyelids, I guess, or eyelashes. Problem is, from the front, you can't really see it. Yeah, it's really hard to see. You need a very, very specific angle for it. What if we go to eyelid shape? No, that won't help us. We always get the same, you know, looking from the front. It's such a specific thing to look at. Can I see it in myself? Let's see. What if I grab my good old mirror right here and let's look at myself? Well, I can't really just look to the... I could put my mirror on the side of my face while looking at it, which is gonna struggle. The best thing I think we could find would be... Oh. No, if this would turn around like 360 degrees, we could see it. But if it, you know... If it doesn't, then it's kind of hard to see. Yeah, that's not gonna help either. The middle one is a bit further. Use your index finger on the side and your middle finger on the outside. Wait, what? Oh, you mean like this? I guess. Yeah, I guess like this distance is sort of the difference. So if you place your index finger in the middle of your eye, and then you could have position your hand, you can sort of like I don't know. It's definitely slightly further back if I feel it, but yeah, I guess that's just sort of something you can have to learn by doing. It's really hard to find really good references for that. I have a few more here. I think I have 2 more. Maybe we can find some good models here that we can look at. Especially these black and white ones are good to see. To see the to see it. What is that? How do I fix this? Oh, hold on. Can we see it here? Nope. Dude, it's just such a fine thing that it's just so hard to see. What if we go to a head 360? You know what? Why am I even looking at heads somewhere if I have my own here? Look at this one. I can just look at this one. You can feel the tear duct. Yeah. It's very, very slightly further back, the outer corner. But it's very, very, very subtle, especially for these small eyes. You know, look how small they are. You can't really see it. Ooh. Yeah, it's really hard to see. But yeah, they're definitely a little bit further back. So one more thing to keep in mind. The other one, of course, is that the upper eyelid is a little bit further forward than the lower eyelid. I think that's also slightly, I guess, individual. For some people it's more, for some people it's less like that. So if you go to head profile view, I guess. If you look at him, for example, you can see the upper eyelid. Yeah, maybe they're actually on the same height. I've read a few things here and there that says that it's further forward. I guess that's, for some people that's the case, for some people that's not the case. For him it seems that way. Really, really low res, so we can't really see that much. For him it's the case too. I think that's also just because the eyeball is slightly further up. Or, you know, it's sort of, it's closer to the upper eyelid than the lower eyelid, which means that the iris touches the lower eyelid, but it sort of gets covered by the upper eyelid slightly, which also means that it pushes the upper eyelid further forward, which creates this sort of difference between the two. When it comes to the forward protrusion. You can see it here very well. Look at the eyes. See how this is the edge for the upper eyelid, and then if you go down, you can see the lower eyelid is somewhere over here. So there's a slight diagonal line that we can draw. You can see the curve on the outside of the eye. Yeah, you can see that too. So one more thing that I wanted to do that I guess involves practice is sculpting a few different eyes just to kind of see how the eyes can vary. You know, everybody has different eyes, and if you, for example, I guess, I don't know if you can really just like, hold on. Usually you can see somebody in just their eyes. So if you only see eyes of a certain person, you can still recognize them. So what I wanted to do is the thumbnail that I used for the stream. Oh, hold on. This one. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, true. Okay. Well, that's a 100 IQ. Oh well, 300 IQ move. Looking at the rotation of the eyes here. These ones face further outwards than these ones, I guess. Big brain over here. Okay. So what I wanted to do is I want to, I guess, just, you know, try to sculpt different eyelids. So I guess the best way to do that would just be to, I don't know, we could maybe just grab some from here and recreate them. I think this one is a good one, just because, you know, we don't really have an upper eyelid that we can see here. That is something pretty unique, you know. Maybe we can do one more, maybe even two more. I like these ones just because they have like a very specific, they have like a lot of room underneath for the lower eyelid right there, which I like. So I think I want to do these two. And then I guess we can select one more just to kind of, you know, if we have one more that we can do, then we're going to do, what about these ones? These ones are also quite unique. They don't really have, well, they have one. But you can see here the fold of the eye lid up here, or for the upper eyelid, isn't the deepest part of the eye, I guess. You can see it goes even deeper right there. It's really hard to see, but hopefully you can understand what I mean. Yeah, the upper eyelid is a little bit smoother than comparing that to this one here, for example, or this one. That's what I wanted to say. Okay. Okay, I think, yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna start with this one. We're gonna sculpt these eyes, and then we're gonna go to him, and then we're gonna go to her, if we have enough time for all three. Let me drink something real quick, and then we can begin. Okay, let me sit down real quick, and then we can begin. Okay. Let's put this one aside. Let's save this file, and then we can make a new one. Okay. Let's get rid of this. We're gonna move it to the side. Okay. There you go. Okay, first thing first, we need a sphere. Next up, we need to retopologize it or remesh it. There you go. Give it 2 nostrils and a mouth. Okay, hold on. Oh. Looks like a lizard. Hold on. There you go, and then we're gonna do this. Perfect. No, I don't want to embarrass them. There you go. Without dynamic topology, no, that's just gonna be horrible. Okay. Oh, you mean sculpting without dynamic topology? I guess I could, you know, what you can also do is remesh it though, like every time you want to go deeper into it. But I like to use dynamic topology just because it's, you know, more dynamic, I guess you could say. Without, you know, just disabling like this, you don't have enough geometry, of course. You can also, of course, just go into remeshing and then maybe set this to 0.02, for example, and then remesh it to have more. And then you can go in here and sculpt. But I don't really like the sort of look that we get here. It's kind of harder to create very sharp edges with these sort of, you know, this zigzag formation. So I usually just, you know, like use dynamic topology. There you go. Okay. Mark Zuckerberg. Okay. I'm not gonna go through the entire workflow again, explaining everything. I just, you know, we're gonna practice eyes a little bit. So I guess if you want, you can do the same. Let me actually download the image so we can see it. And then we can begin. There you go. Okay, my Finder just crashed. Give me a sec. There it is. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna do the same that I've done before. I'm gonna start with the head shape and then we're gonna add the eyes. Oh, symmetry would be pretty good. I guess it always disabled symmetry when you add a new mesh. That would be my guess. Which is weird, but I guess that's how it works. What I also like to do is I just like to pull it back like this to create the jawline. Maybe that's a little bit more intuitive, but I guess you can sit and decide for yourself. There you go, fill this up. Okay. Yeah, I've changed my eye sculpting workflow quite a bit throughout the years, I guess, or the year. Especially with the quick sketches, you can kind of explore different ways of sculpting, different workflows and different techniques. And I think this one is sort of the, at least for me, the most intuitive way of doing it. Kind of, you know, you can very quickly, I guess, create a shape that looks like eyes, and then it's, you know, even easier to just refine it. You know, once we have the base mesh, you already sort of know what it's supposed to look like, so now you can have just trace the lines to, yeah, refine it. Okay, oh, new song, interesting. Okay, let's have the eyes. Mark Zuckerberg looks like Commander Data on Star Trek. Hold on. Commander Data. Oh, true. A little bit. Look at this. There's too much expression though. I think this one looks pretty similar. I think this one comes the closest, especially with the hairstyle. I guess the hairstyle is a little bit different, but the hairline fits quite well. Hold on. Yeah, I think that fits quite well. Okay, let's get back to it. So position first, in the middle of the head. There you go. Perfect. We're gonna grab the grab brush, pull the nose bridge further back. There you go. Perfect. Sometimes I also pull the outer corner slightly back. So we're gonna do that here too. There you go. Okay. Maybe the eye hole can actually be a little bit bigger. There you go. Okay. Let's add the eyeball. There you go. I don't think they need to be too big. We need quite a lot of room around the eyeball. So I don't want to make the eyeball itself too big. Okay, maybe they're already too far forward or too far out. I'm going to bring them back. Okay. Next up, eyelids. Fairly simple. There you go. You can see his eyelids or his eye shape is a little bit different, or at least from what it seems like. The inner corner is higher than the outer corner, very, very slightly. I don't know if that's the case for the eyelids too, but it's definitely the case because the fat above the eyelid is, I guess, so low. It's actually covering the upper eyelid on the outer part, on the outer corner. And then we have the inner corner. I mean the lower eyelid. Okay. Let's add the little fat down here too. Smooth it. Okay. Let's add the eyebrows. Make a little triangle right here. Probably too high. We can pull it down afterwards. I just want to create the shape first. Getting some grooves in here into the stream with this music. Not necessarily reflecting what we're doing, but I guess still a nice change of pace. There you go. Eyebrows sit up on top of the orbital. The orbital. Hold on. I'm not that well versed with the the anatomy names. Hold on. I guess like that. You mean the? Let's see. Come on. Why does it take so long? There it is. No, there's no orbital. What do you mean the bone up here? There's like a small bone that sits right here. It's basically, yeah, you know, you basically just have skin up here, and then, you know, underneath that you have the bone. The eyelid, I mean the eyebrow goes slightly upwards from the inner corner right there, and then goes upwards, and then, you know, follows this sort of triangle shape. Yeah, so it begins somewhere over here, and then it goes upwards slightly, and then follows this face, or the sort of plane right here. We have a slightly sideways view too, if that's helpful. I don't know if it is helpful though. I think what I want to do is I want to pull the side here a little bit further back. I think it's a little bit too far forward right now. There you go, just slightly. Refine the lower eyelid a little bit, not too much. Upper eyelid too. Oftentimes people have a very deep crease or dip, let's say, right here above the tear duct, in the middle of the, or, you know, on the nose bridge, I guess. This part is very, very deep oftentimes because there isn't really that much fat, or there isn't really any fat that can, you know, that you can see there. Maybe a little bit coming from here, from the outside, going into the middle, but oftentimes you can't really see. You can see a very deep, I guess, crease right there, or cut, or hole. Hole maybe sounds better. Okay, let me bring back this sort of very cursive, you know, this middle eyebrow, whatever you want to call it. It's very, very pronounced for him. So let's bring it back here. I've removed it a little bit, so I want to bring it back a little bit right here. I also want to bring in the bridge of the nose. We haven't done that before, just so we have a better understanding, or we can, I guess, compare the eye a little bit more to what is around the eye, like the nose or the eyebrows, cheekbones, and all that stuff. So I just wanted to kind of refine the nose bridge. Okay. Let's add the fat above the eyebrow. This shape here can also vary quite a lot. This, I guess, you know, the orbital can change quite a lot too. The shape itself. Sometimes this face here, or this plane is steeper. Sometimes it's flatter. Sometimes you can see more from the front view. Sometimes you can see less. It's a very, very personal, I guess, characteristic. So for him, of course, we need to pull the fan pad quite far down, lower than the eyelid. That's what I'm doing right now. Of course, with this low resolution, it's kind of hard to add everything because it's so fine. But we can at least, I guess, block it out. Okay, let's do the lower eyelid just a little bit more, and then we're pretty much good here. We can increase the resolution. So why I do this right now is basically to, yeah, learn a little bit more about eyes, I guess. You know, if you want to sculpt, for example, for the arcane characters, what I've tried to do is I tried to sort of collect some real life references too, to, I guess, look at what the features that you can see in the arcane characters, what they might look like or what they could look like in real life. This way you can, I guess, well, make it more realistic, of course. But it's also pretty hard to sort of imagine what every single piece looks like, what every single characteristic looks like. Stuff like the lower eyelid, or what the fat underneath it, maybe the shape itself, maybe it's more pronounced, maybe it's less pronounced. Same with the eye shape itself, whether there's more fat, whether there's less fat, stuff like that. You know, kind of keeping everything in mind is very, very hard. So you would usually grab some references and use those as your inspiration, for example. For this one, of course, we have Terry Crews himself. The problem is, even though we have reference, it can still be hard to sort of capture what you can see in the reference. Of course, if you're doing a likeness sculpt, that is more important than if you do any sort of character, but it's still important. Nonetheless, for both. The eyes are a little bit too open right now, so I'm going to pull the lower eyelid higher. We can also see that the eyebrows are closer to the corner of the eye than they are for my sculpt right now, so I'm just gonna drag them down a little bit. Okay. Yeah, it gets kind of hard to add more geometry or more detail right now. Refine the shape, so I kind of want to go to the next one, 250 resolution. I tried starting with 50 before, but that was not a good idea, especially when you want to begin with the full head. Even just shaping the head can get quite laggy for me, so starting with 50 is not really it's kind of a no-go for me. Maybe for others it's smooth, but for me it's definitely not. Let's separate the fat from the rest. There you go. Once again, I've added a new event on Discord. The next personal feedback session is on Thursday. So if you have any artworks, any pieces that you want to get feedback on, make sure to post them in the personal feedback channel in the Discord. If you haven't joined the Discord yet, !Discord, or the link should be in the YouTube description as well. We're going to go through all the new submissions that have been submitted. I think there are quite a few already. So we're going to see how much we're going to have at the end. How many, I mean. You know, like, one of the small characteristics that I mean is, for example, here for the fat underneath the eyelids. Sometimes it's very, very round. Sometimes you have these sort of it caves in. It's like an inward curve, you could say. Sometimes it curves outwards. That is another like small characteristic that can vary between people. which is, you know, something you might miss if you don't have any references. So always having references is very important. Go. I think the eyes are a little bit too open right now, so we need to change that again. Before we do that, I kind of want to refine the eyelids a little bit more here. Yeah, that's one more thing that I sort of noticed. Not only the eye model that I used, but also just my overall. The eyes that I sculpt can be better, so that's what we practice right now, for example. Just kind of going through different sort of, I guess, you know, ways, or, you know, through different eyelids to get a feeling for what the shape looks like, sort of the very, very fine details when it comes to the anatomy, what the variations could be, how you can sort of, you know, I guess customize an eye. Overall, just general sculpting technique things, or, you know, general anatomy tips as well. Okay, it looks kind of weird right now. First of all, I think the eyelid is a little bit too thick right here. I'm gonna pull the crease a little bit higher here. There you go. We unfortunately don't have a side view, at least in these references, which side view is very, very useful, especially for sculpting and likeness sculpting, but we don't have one, so we're not gonna, you know, look for one. Fat is very, very, very important for the look of someone's face. Not just the one above, but also the one below. Can really drastically change the way somebody looks. Okay, I think it's time for the eyes. Otherwise, we're not gonna finish this in time. Okay, there you go. Change the shape just slightly, refine it, and then that's pretty good. Okay. Let's append the eyes so we can add them. Nope. Oh, let's go back to this one. Okay, there you go. The eye is quite small. There it is. You can't even see it. The pivot point is bigger. Okay. One thing that I want to do is I think I want to more strictly follow the eye size. Or the eye shape. So what I mean by that is basically what I like to do is to measure the eyeball size. Is I like to use the array modifier. Why does it have a rotation? That's interesting. There you go. I'm gonna set this to 5 so that we can see how big they need to be. They need to be, if you know, we need to scale them down. They need to be as wide. 5 eyes next to each other need to be as wide as the head itself. So that's pretty good. Okay, and they're also in a pretty good position. Okay, my camera just dipped. Interesting, give me a sec. Oh, there it is. Okay. That was weird. So yeah, the eyes are in a pretty good position. Generally speaking, the eyeball should be 1 eyeball apart. And now that's the case. What I also want to change is the... Well, I don't need to change anything. What I want to do now is I want to duplicate this, remove array modifier so we can replace the current alignment with the actual eyes. There you go. Do you recommend sculpting in orthographic or perspective mode? I generally sculpt in perspective mode. Orthographic is really... I think you benefit a lot from seeing perspective when you're sculpting, so I would always sculpt in perspective mode. Orthographic can be good if you want to see like the face head on without any perspective deformations or perspective warping. But to actually sculpt, I would suggest perspective. Okay, get rid of this. And then we need to adjust the eyes. So now you can see we've a few things that we need to adjust. One thing being that the eyes are quite, like they don't really wrap around the eyeball, so let's adjust that. Maybe because the head is quite wide right now, it would probably be a little bit thinner. The eyes would be a little bit thinner too, or smaller. So let's just scale them down a little bit. There you go, and then bring them together a little bit. Okay, and then we need to go back in here and fix the rest. So that it wraps nicely around the eye. Perfect. Perfect. How do you know how far it is too far? I guess that's just sort of experience. Most people have their eyeballs quite far in the eye socket. Some people have them, you know, further forward. So for example, if you look at him, for example, they're quite far forward. The other one that I don't remember what I was looking for. Oftentimes, if the eyeballs are further out, you could say, you can see that, I guess, or you can see that through the eyelids. Oftentimes, the eyelids are bigger, or they have more width if the eyeballs are further out. So for him, for example, you can see here how much, like, the eyes actually like bulge. You can also see the eyelids have a slightly different, I guess, they're more open, and they also have a slightly different curvature, as well as the width can oftentimes be bigger as well. So you can already see one difference, which is the size. You can see how much white you can see here. You can see how much white we can see here. So I think, as you just mentioned, we need to pull them further back, actually. Yeah. So yeah, I think I tend to sculpt the eyes a little bit bigger than they need to be. So by dragging them back, we should be able to fix that. Like that, and then we can go back to sculpting. Yeah, I think the outer corner is sort of my arch nemesis right now. That's what I don't fully understand in all detail yet. It's sort of kind of hard to really adjust it very well. So yeah, the question that comes up for me right now is whether or not it's actually the depth or more the size of the eyeball, because of course if you make the size smaller, you can you can make the eyelids or the eye shape itself smaller, but maybe it's also just the eyelids themselves. What you would have to do to make them smaller, or to make the eye smaller, is you would have to push it forward so that you can bring it closer to the eyelid, so that it wraps around the eyeball more. Which then sort of collides with the first theory that we had today, whether or not the inner corner of the eye is further forward than the outer corner. And the more we push it forward, the less that's the case. So it's very, very fine balance between the two. I think that's definitely better, but not perfect. We go into this view, for example, we press Alt-Z, we can see the X-ray view. Yeah, it's a very, very, very slightly further back. Yeah, it's definitely better now, but it's not perfect. Okay. Another thing is you oftentimes have like a small, of course, as I said before, you have these two planes right here. Here and here. But you can also see sort of, or what you can characterize as the small triangle right here. Sometimes the triangle corner right here is further in, sometimes it's further out. for him, I think, is further in than it was before. Okay. I think I want to leave it there for now. I think it's still a little bit bigger, but it's not too much bigger. I want to go to the next one. Doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to go through the motion a little bit more. You know, practice. I remember how we practiced writing all the letters in first grade, I think, in elementary school. We had this A3 paper, like this big paper, and we were supposed to write the same letter over and over and over and over again until the paper was full. And that's what I want to do here. I want to do a repetition rather than, I guess, perfection. So let's do another one. Let me download the image and then we can begin. There it is, perfect. Grab it. Okay, there it is. So for him, of course, you can see the eyes are a little bit different. You can actually see the eyelids both at the top and at the bottom. The bottom or the lower eyelid has way more room, I guess you could say. That's one thing to keep in mind. Let's begin with the head shape. I don't want to focus on the head shape in general over like too much, but you know, it still plays a part in a character's look. So you can't just, I guess, ignore it. The eyes are usually the size of the nose. Yeah, so the inner corner of the eye, for him, I think that's the case. So generally, the eyeballs are one eyeball apart. It's also the case that the outer edge of the eye, I guess, or the nostril, I mean, the widest part of the nose is generally speaking where the inner corner of the eye begins. So I guess you could say the eyeball is as big as the nose. At least when it comes to the width. There are probably some more caveats, but you know, generally speaking, I guess you could say that. Okay, let's start with the eyes. His eyes look a little bit smaller? No, maybe even bigger. Comparing that to him, I think they're a little bit bigger. Maybe, I don't know. I think they just have a different shape. There you go, pull it back. Perfect. Okay. Let's begin with the eyeball. So I think if we look at the eyes, you can see we have more room down here so that we can actually see more of the eyelid. So what I want to do right now is I just want to remove some of this volume right here. That's usually what I do when I sculpt characters from scratch. Just kind of remove some of that volume here. We haven't done that for the, I guess, follow along video or session, sculpting session, but usually I do this. So that it wasn't that necessary, so I didn't include it. There you go. It's more important when you do a full character. Same with the cheekbones. The cheekbones also play a part when it comes to the eye shape. There you go. Okay. What I want to do is I want to deliberately keep it further back now for this one. Just to kind of see what it does. What happens, I guess. So I'm going to leave it there. Quite far forward. I mean, quite far back. Start with the upper eyelid right there. Oh, we can see what the problem arises if we stay pretty deep. We need to pull this back a little bit more. Which I think actually helps. I think another thing that I want to try is I want to make sure that so you go back here, you can see I want to try to stop the eyelid at the end of the eye, I guess you could say, so that what I sometimes do is I sculpt this, but then here on the outside, I sort of continue over here. But it really only is supposed to wrap around the eye, so it would stick closer to the eye right here. Kind of hard to explain, but see how we have this little gap right here? That's something that I want to kind of test out if that helps. If I keep that there. There you go. For him, it's definitely the case that the inner corner is further. Actually, yeah, a little bit. It's a little bit higher, very, very, very slightly higher than the outer corner. The shape is a little bit different though. You can see the deepest part for his eye is not necessarily in the middle, but it's slightly outwards or on the outside part of the eye. The tear duct is really, really hard to see sometimes what you do in scope mode when you have such low resolution. But it is how it is. Let's add the fat. No, let's add the eyebrows first. Skeletal muscular fat. Yeah, first the layers are basically skeleton, then you add the muscles, and then you add the fat to finish it off. They're basically like a pie, you know? You have the first layer being bone, the next layer being muscles, and then the last layer being fat. Yeah, the flesh overhang can be quite difficult to get right, especially if it's over the eyelid. It's really complicated, and it's sort of hard to do. I want to create the curve now, so I'm going to pull it out a little bit. It was quite shallow before. Maybe that's a little bit too much, but I guess that's okay. Okay, shape looks good. Let's add the fat underneath the eye. You can see there's quite a big crease here. So let's add just a little bit of fat here. Right there. Okay. I'm already way happier with this one than the other one. This one. But let's continue. First of all, the eyebrows are quite high, so I'm going to pull them down. I think generally the I shouldn't sculpt when I sculpt the eyeball into the eye hole, I shouldn't sculpt it right in the middle. I should sculpt it a little bit higher, because generally the eyes are, I think, closer to the eyebrows rather than the, I guess, cheekbones, you could say. There's more room underneath the eyes than above them. From my observation so far, I could be wrong, but I think that's the case. Yeah, I think you can, for him especially, you can really highlight the different layers of the face. What I mean with the layers, you would have one layer would be the eyeball, then the next layer on top of that would be the eyelids. Hold on. So we have the eyeball right here. Then we have the eyelids sort of wrapping around it, or, you know, kind of being the next layer above it. But then you have another one, which is the fat around or above the eyelids. And then you could maybe even argue that there's even more, which includes the bone right here, for example, or right here. So you have 1, you have 2, you have 3, and you have 4. Probably not as visible for most or for other people, but for this one it's quite visible. Okay, we need more resolution. 20 is not enough. What you can also do to, I guess, speed up the refining process is you can use the Simplify brush. Now that we have 50 resolution, we can apply that over here. Ooh, and now we have 50 resolution for the eyes. Then we can go to back to this view. We can use the smooth brush and change a few settings. What I want to do is I want to go into the smooth settings and change it from Laplation to surface. Set it to 0.75 and 5 iterations. Welcome back, Palladium. Hope you had a great day. Hope you enjoyed your Tuesday. As you can see, we're practicing eyes. We also did a follow, I guess a follow along sculpt. I guess I can show you what we did. This one. We created these eyes as a follow along, I guess, workflow tutorial for beginners. So I explain basically everything that I do. Yeah. So if you're interested in that, I guess you can you can rewind. Or I also probably gonna make a video out of that, which will maybe come out next week. Okay. Back to this one. Let's go ahead and so yeah, now that we've smoothed everything, we can refine it. I don't know, it feels more comfortable this way. First smoothing everything and then going ahead and I guess refining it. I don't know, it already looks better than before, which kind of I don't know makes it, I don't know, easier for me to work with. We need to change the smooth settings though. Back to Laplation. There you go. Okay. Let's begin with the crease right here. There it is. I think we need to pull this fan pad lower. You can see how low it actually is. It's underneath the eye corner of the eye. Right now it's actually above it. So let's pull it down. Or just add more volume here. Yeah, that's better. Look at that. Perfect. Okay, let's go to the actual eye. Let's get rid of this. Nope, let's not get rid of it. First, what I want to do is I want to probably adjust a few things here and there. First things first, bring the corner forward just slightly. Maybe this one. Yeah, let's refine the tear duct a little bit. It looks kind of scuffed right now. Okay. Highlight the, or refine the eyebrows here a little bit. Not too much, just a little bit. Right here. Perfect. Okay, next up, you can see there's a very specific, I guess, curve that you can see here for the lower eyelid. It begins pretty horizontal for the tear duct, and then at some point it just sort of falls down like this. And we get this sort of, you know, bed, I guess, down here, the lowest part. So we're going to pull this up a little bit, make it nice and horizontal, and then we're going to let it fall down right here. Okay. Now let's look at the lower eyelid fad right here. I think there's more on the outer side than on the inner side. Right here. Perfect. And then we can go back to the inner side. Okay. Let's go to the upper eyelid. Okay. For the upper eyelid, it's fairly symmetrical, I guess you could say. It goes up straight away, and then it makes a nice and clean curve all the way to the corner of the eye. So there's nothing like goes sideways or horizontal and then up. It basically goes straight up. Another weird thing that always tripped me up in the beginning is the outer, I guess, eyelid corner. It always sort of confused me because it basically is just like you think of the eyelids as like two separate muscles or two separate sort of layers, I guess you could say, but they're actually one muscle. And I always thought they sort of overlapping each other, but they actually don't. They just kind of fuse together here in the corner, which is kind of weird. But I guess that's how it is. The muscle is just like, it's basically just like a muscle that looks like this, or like this, you know, that's one muscle. But then because you need an opening right here, it sort of just opens up like, hold on. It opens up like this. So here's the eye. So that which means it's still fused together on each side. It's kind of harder to see here. Let me show you what I mean. Here. You can see it right. Not there. There it is. Look how it just, you know, it just fuses together into one again. It's so weird. That tripped me up for so long. I always thought, like, is it like layered and it's one on top of the other? Nope, it's just, you know, it's just it's just one muscle. Okay, somebody just followed. Hold on. I need to see who it is. Thank you for following. Starry Night 56. Maybe it's Starry Night for you. For me, I don't know. My curtains are closed. It could be. Hope you enjoyed your Tuesday. If you're here, thank you for following. Hope you enjoyed the stream so far. Okay, I think it's time to remove the temporary eyeballs. I think actually if you want to learn how to sculpt certain parts of, like, especially faces, I think one of the best things you can do is you can work with old people. Like, old people's faces are very, very, I guess, defined when it comes to the different parts of the face. So for him, for example, you can very clearly see the eye bag. You can see the eyelids very clearly. They have very clear outlines because of all the folds. You can see the fat above the eyelid. You can see the lines down here. You can see where there's like a distinction between the fat coming from the nose going down here. You can see here there's a slight, there's this crease which sort of distinguishes the fat right here from the mouth. Maybe even the mouth, you could say, is quite clear. So if you want to practice something like face, I think old people are very, very useful for that. Because they have a very, very defined face. Because of all their wrinkles. It's a starry night for me. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Oh, why? Okay. Nope. The sky is just black. I don't see any stars. Just pure black. Too much smog or clouds. Place your bets. I already revealed it. You lost. Okay. You win? Nope, you lost. Or are you the game maker, so you win if everybody else loses? Okay, there you go. Where are you located? I'm in Germany. In the middle of Europe. Right in the middle. Noggy City? No, I don't have my own city, unfortunately. I don't even want my own city. Too many responsibilities. I just want to stay where I am. Are the eyes still too big? I don't know. Kind of hard for me to see. One thing that I noticed is that the eyelid here has more room than it should have. Time to adjust that. Oh. Nice. Exactly. Nogi City is located in Germany. Oh. Well, there's no Nogi City, though. There's no location for it. It's, oh, it's located in your imagination. That's where it is. You just have to think of it, and then you're there. Okay. Let's add the actual eyeballs. I wanna continue. Wait, before we do that. Little wrinkles right here. Okay. Okay, time for eyes. Where are they? There they are. So for him, let's see. So I think overall the head is a little bit too wide. Should we adjust that? Yeah, let's just adjust it. And then we can still use the... We can still reshape the eyelids according to the eyeballs, I guess. I'm definitely more happy with these ones. Maybe it's just because of practice. Maybe it's just because of, I don't know. Luck could also be. Who knows? But I'm definitely more happy with them. Oh, they're perfect in their size. Well. There you go. There you go. I think we run into the same problem again. There's just something about the eye size that I just can't get right. I don't know what it is. It always seems... Are they too far back? No, that couldn't be. Maybe they need to be further in the middle. Let me see. Let me look at the eyes X-ray again. What I'm wondering is... Maybe they're slightly further inwards than I think. What is that? I know you can't see anything. Hold on. Eye position in head. So many illustrations. Just give me images. Oh, this one. So as you can see here, yeah, so it looks like the corner is actually sort of horizontal to... So the thing is, with these ones, you could see that these eyes are way smaller than the ones that I have. So for these ones, you could see if we would place one more eye here in the middle, they would have a pretty good distance. You know, so one eyeball in between is basically the distance between the two. But if you compare that to this one, for example, you can see these ones, we can probably fit 1.5 in between them. So I don't know, it's hard to see. But then if you look at an X-ray, at an actual X-ray, eyes X-ray. This one, for example, it's the same. Okay, hold on. What if we look for average eye size? The problem with something like that is always, well, I can't really use, like, well, the average eye size is approximately 24.2 millimeters. Great. I can't really use that in my in my sculpt. I need something in relation to something. Or sculpt, I guess, maybe. What size of eyes do I need for my doll? You see, the average head is 5 eye widths wide and 7 eye width tall. Take the number 3.6, blah blah blah. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of weird. So in the reference you can see. So just as we confirmed, you can see these ones have maybe 1 eye width next to them, and then 1 eye width in between them, which means they have a pretty good size. Maybe there's something else wrong, but I don't know. But if you go into this view, you can see that the eye is bigger. Especially if you go into material preview, you can see it. Compare the eye. Oh wow, those are some big irises. I guess maybe he has just smaller eyes, but it was sort of the same with him. Maybe it's the height needs to be higher. Wait, what? Oh. Let me bring in some light here so we can see it in render view. Okay. Maybe for him the eyes are just smaller. Maybe. The slope? What do you mean? Let me look at a few more examples here. Just so I don't get confused. Yeah, for this one it's hard to see. So these ones of course are way bigger, the eyes. At least it seems that way. I have another person that I liked, which is this one. They worked on Cyberpunk. They have very cool characters here too. Let's look at him real quick. For him, you can't really see it that well. So there was one. This one, for example, you can see it because we have the black and white view. Let's look at those. The beginning of the eye and the ending of the eye. Oh, you mean the that the inner corner is higher than the outer corner? But I don't think that really changes the way the eyelids look in the corner. So you can it seems like the I don't know. I think there was more. This one has another black and white. Let's see it. This one. The eyes seem so small. Maybe that is just me. It seems like this distance isn't one eyeball, but maybe it is. course, one way to, I guess, fix it would be to just make them smaller, but that wouldn't really make sense. Maybe it's overall just not that deep. But even then, it looks like it is. Yeah, it's definitely like a little bit higher here. Not too much, but a little bit. Maybe that's just me, but well, comparing that to these eyes, of course you can see it, but you can see how big the irises are here. It's pretty big. I think they have a good size. Maybe I just need to get used to them. Of course, compared to these ones, these ones are smaller, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's a good place to end it for today. We learned a little bit. We did a little bit. We studied a little bit, and maybe you were able to learn something else, something too. Today I have something that I want to do, but I don't want to say anything because maybe my plan will change. Probably not, but I just want to make sure that I don't, I guess, tease anything that I don't do then afterwards. So yeah, I think we're getting closer, but of course it just takes a while. You're not gonna get perfect eyes after 2 days. So just practice. But we get closer and closer. It kind of feels like every time you learn something new, that it's sort of it's not necessarily the case, but it feels like that the more you learn something or about something, like for example sculpting, the harder it gets and the more you need to kind of figure out the details, which takes longer. But I don't know. We're getting there, okay? It's the 4th of January, so there's enough time to practice or whatever. So yeah, we're probably gonna we're gonna maybe do something more about the eyes tomorrow, maybe not. Of course on Thursday we're gonna do the personal feedback session, so if you have anything you wanna I don't know, get some feedback on, make sure to post it in the Discord. Kind of looks like it could be a flesh mask. You mean the sculpt or the reference here? Here. Remember when I thought hands were hard? Yeah, I mean hands are somewhat hard. I always like to say that they're sort of if you kind of compare the hands to the full body, I kind of feel like hands are like their own body because they're so complex. They have so many small movements, even though the muscles are not that complex. Sort of the alignment with everything and the rotation of the thumb, for example. I think the thumb is sort of the thing that screws me up most of the time when it comes to sculpting the hand. But yeah, it I think with everything it's just kind of getting used to it and learning every intricate detail until you know everything, I guess. The sculpts? Oh, you mean flesh mask? Yeah, a little bit. Okay. But that's gonna be it for today. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Thank you for chatting, listening, or just being here. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your day. Maybe I'll see you next time. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, though, hope you have a great rest of your day. And yeah, I'll see you then. Take care.